Hi, this is Sue from Snake River Stamping. Thank you for joining me today. I have another pre-recorded video for you today because we have more doctor's appointments tomorrow, Monday, that I usually do my videos. So I have to pre-record, and I hope I get everything in today. But thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it. I appreciate the people that leave me comments, the people that share my videos, especially on YouTube. I'm trying to grow my presence on YouTube, and so the more subscribers I can get and shares I can get, I really appreciate that. So even if you're not a card maker, if you know some card makers and you would some crafters, and maybe you would like to share my video with them, and I would certainly appreciate that if you did that. So I'm going to switch the camera down. Let's see, where is, there it is. Okay. All right. I just want to remind you about our 2025 to 2027 in color product sale. Everything is 15% off the rest of this month if it has an in color in it. And on this, they show you the in colors like Timid Tiger, Strawberry Slush, Darling Duckling, Secret Sea, and Cloud Cover. Those are our in colors. So, of course, the inks and the ribbons and things like that are on sale, but also any designer series paper that happens to have those in colors in them are also 15% off. So, and I'm going to share some of those with you today, and use them in the cards that we make. I wanted to remind you about my specials that are going on this month. Of course, the threshold has changed at Stampin' Up. They've lowered it considerably. For a minimum $20 order, you start earning Stampin' rewards for yourself. And you can use them right away. You can accumulate them and then use them in a big bunch if you like. You have a year to use them, and they keep you apprised on your online account of how many you have and how much time you have left. So it's really pretty easy to do that. If you order a minimum of $40 before tax and shipping and all that stuff, you're going to get my card kits that I have for you this month on envelope. I'm doing the Sunflower 3D cards this month, and all of them are going to be stamped or embossed, excuse me, with the Sunflower 3D folder. And so you're going to get one with rose gold, and you're going to get one with Night of Navy on white. You're going to get one, let's see, do I have a plain one? You're going to get one with crumb cake, and that'll be on black. And I have a video to go along with these. Oh, there's one on crumb cake. Crumb cake on black. And then you're going to get a white one. And the white one is actually kind of cool. I mean, of course you can do white, but I do have this video that goes along with my card kits that I'll send you when I get notified of your qualifying order. And I show you a lot of different techniques, and it's an unlisted video, and you will, things are falling, okay, and you'll get all sorts of ideas on how to utilize these 4 cards in different ways. And I think the most interesting one is probably the white one, because there's a lot of different ways you can use inks and things to really dress that up. So that's my card kit offer for free this month. So you get one metallic, 2 two-tones. The crumb cake and the Night of Navy are the 2 tones, and then the white one. and you get your Stampin' Rewards. It's a $50 kit. You get the card kits I just showed you, and you get a package, brand new package of gems. And I ordered you, they should be here any day now, the new in color gems to go with that. And you get your Stampin' Rewards, of course. And for a $70 to $5, you get your card kits, your gems, and you get a little silicone brush to use to apply ink, to apply glue to little projects. And these are really handy to do that. For a $100 order, you get all of the above: card kits, gems, silicone glue brush, plus a brand new in the package. This is not a new one. Silicone craft mat. You know, I love these, and I have several in my craft room because the glue, whatever, just wipes right off of it. You just let it dry a little and it just wipes right off, and they're really handy to have. Okay, so those are my special offers this month for August. So I really hope you will consider ordering from me in the month of August, because there's an in color sale that you can take advantage of from Stampin' Up. There's Stampin' Rewards that you can take advantage of from Stampin' Up and use on a future order. And there's my offers of card kits and silicone brushes and gems and silicone mats and all sorts of things. And I might even stick something else in there just for fun. So I wanted to remind you about the cards we made last week. We used the tractor bundle, and we made the cutest little cards last week. If you missed that one, you might want to go back and look at it. These were the 4 cards we made last week, the 4 layouts using the tractor bundle, and I just thought they turned out really good. Of course, we did the John Deere, the traditional ones, and then we did the orange tractor. My husband, I told you, my husband has the orange tractor. He told me it was a Husqvarna. You know, I didn't know that before because he used to have John Deere anyway. And then I did a pink tractor because of my granddaughter. She's in high school, and at their high school they live in a very agricultural community, and they have a drive your tractor to school day, and everybody drives some kind of tractor. In fact, some of them drive like a combine, which is huge, to school. But they have lots of room, so anyway, that's a really funny story, I think. Anyway, so that's what we did last week. And this week, we are going to do what's called a pop-up bandstand card. And I am borrowing this fold, casing this fold from Susan Campfield. She happens to be my upline. When you sign up with Stampin' Up, whether you're a demonstrator or not, you don't have to be a demonstrator. You can just be a, discount shopper, which is what I was doing for a long time, because you do get a 20% discount on everything you order when you sign up with them. Plus, you get a bunch of free product. They're pretty generous with that. Anyway, Susan Campfield is my upline. She's the one I signed up under, and she literally invents these folds she does every month, and she is so good at it. And so I have cased her card. Her card was used, it's this fold, but she used some different paper. But we're going to use this one, and this is a 3-dimensional card. It's not being very 3-dimensional right now. I have to get it all bent just right to make it to do the 3-dimensional thing. And it looks difficult, but it really isn't that difficult. And I have a couple other examples I'll show you after we make ours today. And I have a little trick on making this part right here stay in place and not fall apart or rip or anything. So I hope that you will enjoy this. Now, I'm going to share the measurements with you, but I also have them all typed up for you, and at the end I will put all of the typed up information on the screen for you. So you can write it down as we go if you want, or you can just wait till the end and take a screenshot these are the gems, some of the gems I ordered for you. These are the In Color, the 2025-2027 In Color flat pearls that I ordered for my August orders this month. So let me begin. All right. So we're using, to make our card today, we're using the Perfectly Pears. And I like that bundle. The card I just showed you, and I made a couple cards from the Floral Charm Suite, which has, and I used the Charming Day bundle, which has a really great die. This is the die I used to make the card. This card I just showed you. It makes this beautiful floral image, this little die out of the Charming Day, and I have an extra white one in here that I cut, because I was going to put white on here, but then I thought the blue looked better, the Misty Moonlight. So I used the Charming Day for a couple of the cards. Today I'm going to use Perfectly Pears with the card I make for you, but the Floral Charm Suite and the Charming Day, they have lots of pretty papers, and I have shared these before with you, so I know you've seen them. So like, for instance, the card I made that I just showed you, on one side it has these pretty flowers, and on the other side it has Misty Moonlight, and it has the same floral pattern very subtly, and that's what I used to cut out the floral pattern that I put on the front of this card, and I thought it looked really good with this subtle pattern in the back. And they have that with most of the paper. They'll have a pretty pattern on the front, and they'll have a more subtle pattern that goes with it on the back. Those are kind of fun to play with. Okay, so today we're going to do, use that one too. We're going to use, so Floral Charm, because it has In Colors, is on the 15% off, and so are the Pears, Painterly Pears. I have all these things linked in my video description. So if you're on YouTube, my video description is below. If you're on Facebook, my video description is above. So they have several of the In Colors, like Darling Duckling and Secret Sea. So they have those two In Colors, so that means this paper is 15% off right now. And I used this. They have the Pears that you can cut out, because in the bundle, which I also have linked, you can stamp the Pears and you can cut them out, but you can also cut them out of this paper. The small Pears, there's a small die for the small Pears, and there's a larger die for the larger pear on these. And so I just usually cut them out kind of loosely so that I can put them through my machine, and or sometimes I stamp them. I have in the past done a video with Painterly Pears and shown you how I stamp them also, and given you some hints on that. So today, that's the one we're going to use. Well, we're going to use, actually, I think we're going to use this pattern today, this darker one, because the background is the Secret Sea in this one, and I like that one. So that's what we're going to use today. So there's a few parts, but I'm going to set that one to the side. So I just pulled this out to show you an example of the paper that we're using. In the back it had Darling Duckling, little graph type of thing. Anyway, that's the paper we're going to use. But this is all you need right here to make what we're going to make today. I do have a leaf. I have some acetates, which is my secret sauce that I use on my card. And I have pieces and parts in here. I don't think I'm going to use that one. Anyway, so I just have a few other pieces that I cut just in case. I'm not sure exactly what I'm going to use, but I have a card base, and it is 4 1/4 by 5 3/8, and I scored it. I put it in my score, and my trimmer. I used the trimmer, and I scored it at 3/4. Put it in here, scored it at 3/4, and then I moved it down to 4 5/8, which is just 1/8 more than a half, and I scored it there. That's also 3/4 if you're looking at the other side. So it's easier for me sometimes when I'm doing a small score to go 3/4 this way, flip it, and if I know it's the same, in 3/4 that way, so that it's even on both sides. So these are my sides of my card that's going to make it stand up. So that is my card base. Then I needed 2 bands, and the bands, you cut 2 of these because you need a top band and a bottom band for the bandstand card, and these are cut at 1 1/4 by 7, and you score them at 3/4, 2 1/2, 4 1/2, and 6 1/4. And again, I have this all typed up, and I'll show you at the end all these measures, and you can take a screenshot of that. I don't know if you can hear my husband mowing on his little orange mower tractor thing, but it seems like when I make a video, he decides to go mow. Anyway, so we have those all scored, and you can bend them a little bit if you want, but they're actually easier to keep them flat because we're going to put some DSP on them. You need to cut 4 pieces at 1 inch by 1 1/2 inches, and those are on the left and the right of the bands, and you need 4 because you have 2 bands, left and right. Okay, then you cut 2 for the middle. They go in the middle here, and they're just a little bit bigger. They're also 1 inch, but they're 1 3/4 inches long. So 1 3/4 by 1, and the other ones are 1 by 1 1/2, and those are our bands. And then you have a center to go in the back of the card that is 3 5/8 by 4. And actually, that's where we're going to, one more piece that I want to do now, and then I'm going to save 2 pieces for the very end. These go on the inside of this card, and you cut 2 of them, 1/2 inch by 4 inches for the right and the left on the inside, and we will use those right away. Okay, so I'm going to put all my pieces, and I'm going to put on the front over here, and I'm going to start gluing things on. I'm going to start with my center, which is 3 5/8 by 4. You can also do some embossing, which I'm going to show you on one card, and when I'm done with this, that I use some embossing and some DSP. So now you want, this paper is directional, so definitely on this piece and the longer pieces you want to make sure that the direction is going the correct way, like that. So my my flowers are all going the right direction. Then I take those really skinny little bands that I just cut, they're only 1/2 inch wide, and I'm gonna put those. Now I want to avoid, I want to make it the same top and bottom like I did this one, but I definitely, I know it's hard to see the score line, but I don't want the DSP to be on the score line because that will interfere with how this card folds up, and it does fold up and fit in a standard A2 envelope. Okay, so that is how the first part of the card goes. So now I'm going to start with the bands that I have, and I already laid those on there the way I want them. So the larger piece, the 1 by 1 3/4 piece, goes in the middle. Oops, I think that's upside down. I think we'll call that right side up. And then the 1 by 1 1/2 goes on either end. So I want a top band and I want a bottom band. These go on pretty quick. Like that. Okay. So these bands are going to attach over here at the top and the bottom, like this. And you can glue them on, but it works way, way better if you have tear and tape, or even Seal Plus, because I mean glue holds really good, but you have to wait a long time for it to really set up. So what you do, because I want this all to be facing forward, is you turn everything upside down. And I'm going to set that one to the side for right now. And you turn this upside down, and you center it so that the top of the band is even with the top of the card. And you're going to put tear and tape on these two edges. And you're going to put 2 pieces of tear and tape on each side so that it really adheres really, really well. And you want to rub that down. I'm just going to use my scissors. I do see my bone folder, but I'm just going to rub those down so that it adheres, because you're going to tear that tear and tape off because it's double-sided tape, which is what I want. I haven't adhered anything yet, and I'm going to make sure I got it on here. Okay. I'm going to rub those down just to get them really set. Okay. So now, before I stick them in there, I'm really looking carefully that I can flip those over, that my band is right at the top, even with the top. Okay, looks like it's even with the top. And I just use a scissor or take your pick tool. I start in the middle, and it's easier to take tear and tape off when you start in the middle. And then I'm checking again, making sure I'm even, and I just flip it over and I press really hard. So this one, make sure I'm even. Hopefully my head's not in the way. and press really hard. So I flip it over. I had it upside down, but now I can fold these. And that's the top of my bandstand card. Okay, that's the top. Okay, so I flatten it back out, turn it upside down. I have my other band for the bottom. I turn that upside down. I'm going to slip it under here, upside down. I'm going to make sure that is even with the bottom and even side to side. And I'm going to put 2 more pieces of tear and tape on each side to really hold these bands on, because it's going to have to hold everything up. So I really want to hold those on securely. So I just put my tear and tape on. I got that one a little bit too long. I'm just going to snip that off, because I don't want it to stick to anything else. And of course, I don't measure anything. I just kind of look at it and hope for the best. It's not real precise or anything. But this tear and tape, you know, comes in a big roll. I mean, this lasts a long time. So I'm going to use my scissor again, and I'm just going to really press that down. And I know it's moving my paper around, so I'm going to recenter it. Okay, I really press that down. Okay, so I'm recentering. I'm making sure the bottom is even, and I'm making sure left to right it's even. I can see the score marks, and so I'm making sure those are even, so I'm not like too far left or too far right, because I do want it to be even. And I take my tear and tape off. Maybe I take my tear and tape off, and I fold and press. Take my tear and tape off. And I fold and press. Okay. So now I have both my bottom bands, and I can bend these in, and I can press those so they're just right on here. Okay, so I'm going to turn it back over again and flatten it out, because I also cut, because I want to cover up all of this so you can see. Maybe I was using petal pink because that's in the paper. Those little flowers are petal pink. But I want to cover this up, so I cut 2 more outside bands, and these are 5/8 inches wide and 4 inches long. So you leave those for the very end, those 2. And you just put some glue on here. Oops, try not to get your glue, inner glue. Wipe that off before I forget. Okay. Maybe I'll put some more glue on there, because I kind of smudged that. And now I'm just going to put these on, because this will make it look a little more finished and nice, and center it top to bottom, side to side. Don't get it on the fold line. Nope, that flower's going the other way. So this covers up what we just did, folding those edges over with the tear and tape, so that when you put the card back like this, now those edges are covered neatly, and when the person brings the card out of the envelope. You know, it'll be flat like this, but when they put it up for display, then all the edges are covered and they look nice. So I want to put stuff on the front. And on this card, this did fit top to bottom, but it's unstable and it would tear. So acetate sheets work great. And you probably already have acetate sheets. If you bought stamp sets, you have acetate sheets. I always take my stamps off my acetate sheets and just put them in my folder, in my one of these things, and I just put them on there. And I take the acetate sheets out and I save them. I have a folder for just acetate sheets because I use them periodically, and they're really good for this. Now the acetate sheet needs to be 1 3/4 by 4. Okay, and do not use glue on them. Glue gets all over the place. You can't get it off. No matter how good you clean it, it will just always be there. But this is going to provide a stable base for me to put my focal points on. So I know it's hard to see. This is an acetate sheet right here. But I'm going to put some tear and tape at the top. Now you could also use Seal Plus. Not quite as good though. Tear and tape, I gotta tell you, it works the best on this card. So at the top and at the bottom, I'm gonna put the tear and tape. And I'm really going to press that tear and tape down so it's good and stuck to the acetate sheet. And then I'm going to put it on the inside of my card. And I know you can't see it, and that's the purpose. It provides stability, but you can't see it. So now I can put my, you can kind of see the glare. Now I can put my images that I want, and they'll kind of stay on here floating just fine. So I just take off the tear and tape, and I'm going to carefully center this and just press it down. And I'm going to take off the bottom tear and tape. Turn this upside down, and I'm going to center that and press down. So now I have this clear acetate sheet, which is rather strong. It's rather thick, and it's in there with tear and tape. It's gonna stay put, and now I can use some dimensionals, because I'm not going to glue on this acetate because it makes a mess. But you can use tear and tape, and you can use dimensionals. So now I've got my big pear. Now I am going to put a little glue right on this very bottom of my pear, or my leaf. And I'm going to glue that down, but I'm not putting glue on my acetate. Okay. So I'll turn my little pear over, and I'm going to put it down the middle, pretty much. because I need it to stay on the acetate. Okay, so it's going to be a little bit on this bottom band right here, and can you see that the dimensionals on the inside, they're sticking to the acetate. Okay, I'm going to stick those on. I'm going to stick the small pears on also. And those are going to go right there. And that's sticking a little bit on the bottom band, but also on the acetate. Okay. And then I've got these flowers that I think are going to stick up there. And they just need one dimension. And I'll stick those up there. Okay. There we go. So I have all my I'm not going to use the little waffle things, but I'm going to probably put some gems on. I'm going to make a thought I cut one. Did I cut one? Maybe I did not cut one. A good friend is a gift. This comes in the set. A good friend is a gift. And so I want something kind of dark. I could use black, but the paper itself has Secret C in it. So I think I'll stamp it on Secret C with Secret C. Let's see if I can get this on here. And if I do it right side up, a good friend is a gift. These are photopolymer stamps. And this is just a little scrap, or it's rather a bigger scrap of white. Now I could have used, there's some white in here. I could have used more pink or whatever of the petal pink, but I had the white scrap sitting here, so I decided to use that. And I need a bigger thing to cut that, or maybe I'll just cut it. I'll just cut it. So I should have pulled out. I don't know. I don't want to make you wait while I look for stuff. I'll just cut this. Cut this down, and I can see through my trimmer so I can see where it's at. It looks better, of course, if you use like I used something to cut this one out, thinking of you. Looks better if you do that, but I'm going to use this one, a good friend as a gift. And I'm just going to put a little glue on the right side, on the right side, because I'm going to have it right here. It's going to go off the edge, but I don't want it to stick to this other panel. I just want it to stick to the front panel. So when it pops up, it's like that. Okay, a good friend is a gift. And I'm going to put some dots on. And like I said, there's Secret Sea and there's Timid Tiger in, or Darling Duckling in there. So maybe I'll use some Darling Duckling. And I'll put one right there. And I'll put one up here. And maybe I'll put one right there in the flower. Okay. All right. So there is my card. Now, for the back, you cut it exactly the same size as this one that went inside. And you cut a piece of white, which I thought I cut that too. But I did on these other ones. I cut a piece of white. The exact same size as this one. And I just glued that on and I stamped a flower on it. So on this one, I would stamp a pear on it. But I failed to cut that, so I don't want to look for the paper right now. But I will show you. So I've got these two. Now this one was with Charming Day, and this one was with the Pears. And then I made another one with Charming Day. Made this one, and this one, the DSP had the Timid Tiger in it, and this was on the back of this. So that's why I cut the flower out of that. And it looked really good, and I put Happy Birthday on that one. And I did remembered to cut the white, remember the same size, and I stamped the flower on it from the stamp set. So I did that one. And then the last one I did, I used the prairie grass that we focused on a few weeks ago, because this kind of made a masculine card. And I used the designer series paper. I brought in the woven textures. I brought in this one and used this in the background and on the inside. And then I cut my card base on this one out of pecan pie and crumb cake. And instead of using designer series paper here, here, and here, I just used crumb cake and I embossed it. And then I used a brush to brush a little more crumb cake. It looks like I did a darker color, but I used crumb cake ink to just put a little bit of color to bring out that embossing. And then I used the Everyday Arches to cut a couple arches. Now I did not, this is the only one I did not put acetate on the back, because these two arches glued together and then embossed, stamped and then embossed, were strong enough to hold up. So if you do something like this, you want to stamp first. I stamped out of the prairie grass. I used this little middle-sized one on that right there. I stamp first and then I emboss. It will not work to do it the other way around. Okay, you have to stamp on a flat surface. And then I embossed, and then I used some pecan pie sparkle dots. I'm thankful to have you as a friend. Can't remember where I got that. And one of mine. Might have been, it might have been one of my old, because I was pulling out my fall stuff. They have all new fall stuff coming out in the catalogs, and if you're one of my customers regularly, I've already ordered your catalog and it should be here to you by the end of September, or the end of August, because it goes live on September 3rd for you. and you should have that in your hands. And the new online exclusives will also go live on September 3rd. And I've ordered some of that stuff, and I'm going to use it next week. Some of the things that I've ordered for fall. So stay tuned for that. That's going to be interesting to look at some of that. So anyway, back to this card. I digress, right? I'm always like rabbit. Okay. Anyway, I did use designer series paper in the back and on the inside and on the outside, and on the back, of course, I stamped a little thing from the prairie grass so I could write on the pecan or the crumb cake. But I had pecan pie as my background, my base, and my bands and stuff, and then the crumb cake as the lighter part. But I thought that looked pretty good, you know, maybe as a masculine card, and you could still give someone, or a thinking of you card, you could still give someone a three-dimensional standing up card using this card design from Susan Campfield. And I'm going to share those dimensions with you in case you didn't get them written down. It's okay. You can take a screenshot of this. You can stop the video. And for the pop-up bandstand card, the cardstock base, of course, like I told you, was 4 1/4 by 5 3/8. You score it at 3/4 and 4 5/8, or you can score it 3/4 one end, 3/4 the other end. It's the same difference. The bands, the two bands, top and bottom, you want to cut 2 of those, and they measure at 1 1/4 by 7 inches. You score those at 3/4 of an inch, 2 1/2 inches, 4 1/2 inches, and 6 1/4 inches. The DSP that goes in the background in the center of the card base is 3 5/8 by 4, and that's also the same size as the white piece or whatever you put on the back, the lighter colored piece if you're using colored cardstock. Now on that first card I made, even though I used white as my card base, I still cut a piece and put it on the back because it just works better for me that way. If I make a mistake, I can turn it over and fix it. So that's the same. Your DSP for the left and right of the center. So the DSP that we put on the inside on this left and right, those were the smaller ones. They're 1/2 inch by 4 inches. Now on the bands, the DSP, the left and right, you need 4 of them because you need 2 on each band. So 4 at 1 inch by 1 1/2 inches. And then in the middle of the bands, it's just a little bit bigger. It's also 1 inch, but it's 1 3/4 inches long. And the DSP on the outside edges, you need to cut 2, and they're a little bit wider. They're 5/8 of an inch by 4. Then the acetate, I forgot to write that down or type it in. That was 1 3/4 inches wide by 4 inches long. Okay, so those are the measures. I'll leave that there for a minute. I'll put my card right here that we made today that pops up. This is called the Pop-Up Bandstand. Again, I cased this card from Susan Campfield. She's a wonderful demonstrator. I learned a lot from her. I always watch her videos. If you haven't found her on YouTube yet, you might want to look. She does a lot of really creative stuff. She's been a demonstrator for a long time, and she comes up with the greatest card folds, let me tell you. It's really great. Like I said, let me turn the camera up. Next week, I'm going to start fall, and we'll do that maybe for a week or two. We'll see how long that lasts, and then we're going to roll into some Christmas stuff that I've ordered. Some new Christmas stuff. Now I have a lot of fall and a lot of Christmas stuff from years before that I might bring in some of that too, and just show you that, you know, you don't always have to buy all new stuff. You know, I don't buy everything. I'm a very small business versus some of the people that really run large operations. I don't. I'm a retired teacher, and I do, you know, like to have some retirement, and I like to spend time with my grandkids and do all the things that they like to do. You know, they in the fairs and play basketball and dance, and they do all the things. So I like to do that. So my business is pretty small, but I love doing this, and I will share some new things with you all the time, and I will occasionally share some things that I already have in my stash that maybe you have in your stash too, that you're just like me, that you like, I really like that. I don't want to get rid of that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed today's pop-up bandstand card. It was really, really cute, and I think anybody would enjoy getting something like this in the mail. In fact, I've already sent some in the mail to some friends for their birthday, and I know they'll probably really enjoy that. But that little acetate sheet in the back, you know, putting that on so that you can put your focal points on, that really changes things up. Now, using the arches worked, and another thing that works is circles. You know, you can cut circles, and whoops, didn't mean to do that. You can cut circles and put a fairly large circle here that as a background, and then glue your or pop up your images on. So I've seen that done too with this. But the acetate sheet is really quick, easy. You can't see it. I mean, they can see it once they have the card in their hands, but it's not visible really. You know, I can see the reflection on it from my lights right now, that you can see that part, but just holding it in your hand, you really don't notice it at all. Thank you for joining me today. I hope to see you next week on Monday at 9 a.m. and we will do some cards for fall. Okay, bye-bye.